we're live again. The next question will be from Sunny.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Question ko is related dun sa two opposite news recently. We are the rising star according to one foreign agency. And according to NEDA, we have not done enough to address the poverty. So what would be your, this is the main question, sasangad sa same way lang mamaya. What would be your program to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor? Therefore, equitable distribution of wealth.
Yung disparate signals na ganon, they actually capture the truth about the whole situation. So meron talagang mga evaluations, even of the international community, tungkol sa health at sa potential ng national economy natin. Ako, pinagmamalaki ko yun bilang Pilipino, and I think it excites us kasi ibig sabihin may mga potentials talaga to catch this wave, lalo na during these years of President Marcos administration. At yung sinabi ng NEDA, that is a very refreshing and necessary mea culpa, na hindi kailangan personally na, ay, pagkukulang nitong administrasyon, but just to say that government, that's the Philippine state, is really still at this juncture na 1/3 of families are in extreme poverty, and that's just unacceptable. Ang sa akin, dahil ganun ang sitwasyon, edi let's be more relentless about implementing the poverty alleviation programs. May mga nasimulan na yung 4Ps, yung PhilHealth, even the K-12 is a social reform measure. Mas itulak pa ito ng gobyerno, really spend political capital and spend money, capital on it, and then including on infrastructure para ayusin yung delivery ng basic goods and services sa lahat ng mamamayan, lalo na sa mga karamihan na mahihirap. If I get to work in the Senate, my priority thematically would be, kasi ngayon nga parang the big thing is the productivity of our economy, GDP growth, the health of the stock market, etc. All these ratings from the 3 or more agencies. Pero it will really mean something for us every day kung makambalan siya ng equity. There has to be a distribution, and not just of opportunity. There has to be a distribution of wealth. There are many ways to do that through governance. It could be through making the taxation system more socialized, more progressive. It could be and should be through asset reforms like agrarian reform. Tapusin na natin by next year yung land acquisition and distribution. Tapos habang panahon mag-deliver ng complete package of support services sa agriculture, because agriculture will really be the bedrock of our economy. A strong agri will allow us to identify some industries na we haven't missed the boat in globalization at pwede pa tayo mag-capture ng competitive advantage. Yung agri, yung magbibigay sa atin ng space to broaden yung services sector beyond call centers and BPOs, to really look at tourism and other sectors. Sabi kasi tourism and agri yung growth driver, o idagdag natin yung infrastructure. So I would file and support legislation to strengthen agriculture, to make our taxation system more progressive or socialized, remove those regressive indirect taxes, instead strengthen yung policy support for and implementation of direct taxation on the bigger incomes, the bigger assets. You should be taxed higher to generate revenues for government para sa mga ganitong social services and development programs. Kasi yung ibang napag-usapan natin kanina, like security of tenure is also an input for sustainable development. Kahit tignan natin yung mga industrialized countries whose government seem to be demanding of us now a continuation of contractualization. It was because nagkaroon ng disenteng trabaho, siguradong disenteng trabaho yung mga mamamayan nila in earlier stages of development na they were able to reach industrialized status. So why should we deny ourselves that same stage of development?
Now, on the area ng labor, sa ngayon kasi, it is a fact that we are an employee-generated nation. So, 2 questions relevant. Number 1, how do you change the mindset of specifically the employers na mas mabuti na magbigay ka ng mas mababang sweldo, mas maraming nakikinabang kaysa taasan mo yung sweldo and only a few will benefit. So, what would be your program to that? Number 2, sa area naman ng micro-entrepreneurship. So what would be your program then to encourage, especially the fresh new graduates, the young people, na mabago yung isipan nila na dapat pagka-graduate ko, makakuha ko ng trabaho sa ganito o kaya makapagpapag ako. Ano yung magandang programa para mag-isip sila na pagka-graduate ko, dapat makapag-set up ako ng ganito?
Arguable yung premise ng unang tanong. Ang sa akin kasi, well, isang historic na panawagan ng labor movement, yung mas mataas na sahod. And in principle, of course, I support that. Ngayon, what is really doable? Ano talaga ang ibibigay ng employers sa mga collective bargaining agreement? Ano talaga yung susuportahan ng isang, say, liberal na administrasyon in terms of policy or in terms of legislation? Let's bring that as far as we can go. Yung pagtaas ng sweldo sa private sector, pagtaas ng sweldo sa public sector. For sure, hindi tayo kompleto matutuwa sa aabutin yan. So, i-complement natin yung mga, yung sabi ko ng non-wage benefits para ang suma total na outcome ay kung hindi man umabot sa ating ideal salary level, wage levels, at least ang buying power, yung capacity ng working person mag-access ng kailangan para mabuhay is enhanced. Will that be through cheaper food? Will that be through cheaper utilities? Kaya yung walang kamatayang mga tanong natin tungkol sa power at saka tubig. Will that be through free medicines and free medical care? Will that be through free education even up to tertiary level? So lampas sa iniutos na yun ng Constitution. So it has to be a package of social rights and social protection para i-up yung standard of living
Pero
ng
most of
mga
the
tao.
program now is intervention ng government. Now, how do we change now itong mga employers
Ang mindset.
capacity? Kasi I've been in both sides.
Oo.
I was an activist before and I became an assistant VP for human resources.
Wow. Oo.
So I saw most of the resources napupunta yan sa top level.
Personal. Yeah.
If they can give the top level 6-digit figures without questions asked.
Right.
Pero yung ordinary empleyado ng core ng operations, they're trying to keep the costs as low as possible.
Totoo.
So something is wrong somewhere.
Talaga.
So ano kaya klaseng programa, whether cultural revolution or
Yeah, that's part of
policy,
it.
anong batas ang pwedeng magko-compel? Kasi that's part of equitable distribution.
Talaga. Ayun, kaya doon din papasok yung exercising the police power of the state. And that can be done through legislation and or through policy setting. Kung sabihin naglabaw ng gobyerno na we're going to demand this of the private sector at this point in time, pero kami rin may counterpart. Then lalo na yung mga small and medium scale entrepreneurs who actually employ the biggest percentage of employees but who get the least access to credit. Pag sinabihan sila ng gobyerno, mas bibigyan namin kayo ng access sa credit or itaas natin ang sweldo o sahod ng mga empleyado nyo pero may counterpart kami dyan. Baka there are certain modes na pwedeng pag-usapan na basta ang outcome is a better deal sa mga manggagawa at saka empleyado, pero hindi naman mag-isa, lalo na yung small and medium scale sa pagsagot sa dagdag na gastos. Yung government will also come in. And then, sa ating mga kabataang graduate, para hindi lang first thought ay maging empleyado or maging overseas Filipino worker. Again, there has to be an enabling environment para sabihin nila, I'll take the risk to set up my own enterprise. Tapos, it can happen in an environment like this na parang lumulusog yung national economy natin. But even to these potential entrepreneurs, tingin ko, hindi lang productivity yung magmamatter, yung equity din. Kasi, yung mga magpo-participate sa enterprises na maaaring maging customer nila, have to be a broader base of the market. Kung wala namang earning capacity at buying power, yung karamihan ng mamamayan na mahirap ngayon, sino naman ang magiging market nitong mga gusto nating maging entrepreneurs? So, the improvement has to be on the side of everyone. So lahat ng mga pinag-usapan natin mga social services and social reform programs, they create a population that isn't only enjoying a better standard of living, pero mas may capacity na mag-participate sa economy, where we want these young people to be more creative and innovative in terms of enterprises. there will still be those who want to work as employees. So, dun papasok yung reforms na itutulak natin with, in a partnership with private sector and government. Yung mga mag-a-abroad pa rin, pero at least, nagkaroon na ng first option at decenteng trabaho at negosyo dito sa Pilipinas. There will always be mga kababayan natin who would prefer naman to work abroad. So, at least ayusin natin na yung contributions nila sa, ano ba yun, OWA, POEA, talagang babalik sa kanila. Ngayon, kung gusto nilang kumuha ng utang, at lalo na pag-retire nila in terms of pension, na ma-enjoy naman nila yung lifetime contributions nila. If they get into trouble with the law sa host countries, dapat patuloy na mas maayos yung DFA, Embassy and Consular Services natin to represent them, to ensure na may due process sa kanila, at hindi lang sila aabusuhin doon ng walang kalaban-laban.
Ano sa palagay niyo yung magandang programa to make the funding available for aspiring entrepreneurs? Isang hindrance yan eh. Kung
Yeah.
hindi ako yung sure ball na nakita ko ng 15,
Totoo.
without even thinking, I will look for a job.
Oo.
Diba? Pero kung meron silang access sa funding, at nakikita
Talaga.
nila yung ano, then they would begin to think na why not try my luck in
Alam mo, ang nagbigay ng insight sa akin dyan, mga micro, small, and medium-scale entrepreneurs din. Sila yung nagsabi sa akin na, bakit ba? Kami yung actually nag-generate ng 90% ng mga trabaho. And yet, baliktad yung parang fetching capacity namin sa mga bangko, lalo na commercial banks. They only give us 10% of the credit. It's the big companies that ironically actually employ much fewer Filipinos na nakakakuha ng malalaking pautang at preferential rates pa. So again, maybe Congress and the executive should intervene, should go into consultation with the banking sector, paano na mas i-align yung mga banking practices nila and policies with mga national development goals. Kung sasabihin ng gobyerno, we really want to energize the entrepreneurial sector, there has to really be money for that. As you said, there has to be capital para umikot yung pera sa domestic economy in a healthy way and mag-create siya ng virtuous cycle. Diba, if we have more enterprises, we have more goods and services, arguably there's more real competition. If sa employment side naman, mas maayos din yung sweldo, sahod, benepisyo ng mga empleyado at manggagawa, then at the end of, during the month, mas magagastos na nila yung mga produkto, serbisyo on the side that generates revenues for government sa taxes. End of the month, may natitira pang savings sa bulsa ng manggagawa. End of the year, yung mga naipon yung buwan-buwan, pwede ipunin na maliit na kapital. Pwede naman ang isang maliit na negosyo. So, again, without even a political lens, it makes sense to give working people a better deal on all levels. Whether empleyado manggagawa siya or micro, small, or medium-scale entrepreneurship. But, yun na nga, government is running this show. Poverty alleviation is the work of all sectors, pero ang gobyerno talaga yung pwedeng magkumpas at pwedeng magsabi, oh, ito na yung rules. So, let's try it this way.
last question on change topic. It's more on gender equality.
Okay.
I have a lot of friends sa public service and they're rolling it out sa civil service. Yung seminars pagdating sa gender sensitivity of gender equality. I was in touch with them one time and they are trying to get my opinion on how to influence the private sector to do the same. So, Gilan is a champion for women's rights. How do we influence now the private sector to adopt the same? Kung ano yung ginagawa ngayon sa public sector sa different government agencies na hindi pa nangyayari sa private. So, how can you contribute to that?
Yung isang challenge kasi natin sa private sector, although a few women have broken the glass ceilings, meron ng a few CEOs, in large part, overwhelmingly male pa rin yung top level. Mas marami yung kabaro ko na nasa middle level na ng management. And of course, lagi sa rank and file, marami kami doon. Pero since very hierarchical ang structure at ang kultura sa mga korporasyon, you really need to work, and habang kaunti sila, you need to work double time with the few women who are at the top level and can really parang steer the discussion sa mga board meeting nila, or who can make daily, sa middle level, who make the daily decisions in the offices and in the factories. So that's one intervention, to to recruit or to form, to convince yung mga women at the top levels of the corporations. Come on, you have to side with the other women in your company down the different levels. Then pangalawa, again, yung government to create an enabling environment. Mukhang nasa honeymoon stage pa naman si President Noy sa business sector. So, siguro dahil parang magiliw na yung pagsasama nila sa anti-corruption, maybe yung business community supported the passage of the RH law. So, basis of unity lang ni President Noy yun. If he could open up a conversation with them, I don't know, actually I don't even know if he would, but if he would open up a conversation with them about, yun na nga, mainstreaming gender sensitivity sa mga kumpanya, wow, ang lakas na spokesperson. Kung hindi man siya, yung mga members of his cabinet, yung Philippine Commission on Women, at yung mga cabinet members na babae. And then last but not least, of course, the unions, the beleaguered unions na marami ring mga kababaihang miyembro doon. They struggle against the machoism also in the labor movement. Pero sila, pag miyembro sila ng union at pag leader sila ng union, they always include yung ganyan ding gender sensitivity program. So, if they can bring that into the negotiations for collective bargaining agreement with management, o pakonti ng pakonti mga CBA ngayon, kasi nahirap mag-sustain ng union. But those who are still in nego with their management, bring up din nila yun. Mga affirmative action for solo mothers sa kumpanya. I know at least one hotel union, they did that with their management. So, pumili sila ng mga gender sensitivity issues na pinaka dama nila, nadadanasan nila at kaya nilang ilaban as part of the collective bargaining agreement. So, ganon, from many different directions in one company or in one industry or in the whole business community, kailangan may interventions tayo.
Posible ba o sa na magkaroon ng batas that would require companies to employ such percentage of women?
Ganda yun!
Parang at least, di ba, you have to employ this percentage of women versus those.
Oo, maganda yun. Kasi ginagawa naman natin in terms of appointing positions in the bureaucracy. Or at least may bill. Merong gender equality bill which mimics yung UN commitment to 50% of appointed positions also filled by women. So, why not have a parallel effort sa private sector? Of course, that links backwards to improvements sa public education system na talagang may conscious effort na to bring in more girl children, to keep them in school beyond there are certain dangerous years na ang taas ng dropout rate ng mga kababaihan. Let them reach high school where doon naman ang lakas ng survival rate ng mga babae. It also links backward to improvements sa public health system. So, better maternal care, health care for girl children, same as with boy children. RH, ayan, kababaihan is right in the middle of that also. RH can also be part of the CBA negotiations. Paternity and maternity leave.
Okay, we'll be asking questions already from Twitter
Okay.
because there are some. Are you already submitting reports for your campaign
Hindi pa.
expenses?
After ano yun? After campaign.
But you will be disclosing
Yes,
all your
like 2010.
donors and
Oo.
benefactors.
Oo.
There's a question here about your 2010. You got a
Yes.
lot of contributions from the landlords, I believe.
From
Is that true?
Are they referring to certain
Yes,
siblings?
yes,
Oh,
yes.
it was in my COMELEC report. I reported every peso that we received as contributions and spent for the campaign, including from the Aquino sisters, one of whom, Chris Aquino, is the top taxpayer of last year. So, ganun din, this year, although I haven't received contributions from them, but I have received contributions from various kababayan, and I will be again reporting these to COMELEC. Related to that, that's also why I supported yung COMELEC rule about limits on campaign o commercials. For me, it was a step in the right direction papunta sa campaign finance reform to put a reasonable limit to the crazy campaign spending right now. By law, a candidate may only spend 3 3 pesos per voter.
Yes,
If we estimate na 100 million na tayong mga Pinoy, kung kalahati doon ay voters, 50 million, that means at most you can spend 150 million. But
How
which
much have you
candidates spent much more?
How much have you spent so far?
I don't have a running total right now, but in 2010 I reported 110.
In TV ads.
No, overall.
Overall.
Including the TV ads na. I haven't reached that yet.
You have some questions to ask. I know you have another appointment.
Yeah.
Ikaw natin.
This one, how do you propose, or how would you change personality politics if it were you?
That's one of the big questions of our lives talaga. And we talked about some points of it earlier. Para sa akin, yung isang susi talaga to build real political parties. And with these as building blocks, to build a real political party system. Na kahit pa mga individual ang mga miyembro, mga individual ang mga leader at kandidato, still, the main line of accountability is not between a politician padron and a helpless, dependent voter, but it's really between the political party holding its members and leaders who run as candidates accountable and the public, its constituency and all citizens. So para sa akin yun yung susi, yun yung big project to address that big question of our lives.
Do you feel that your advocacies now somehow are they in line with Team Pinoy? And was it actually a choice, or were you invited to both and you chose one over the other? Or
I wasn't invited by the other team.
Okay,
only by Team
so
Pinoy.
was your decision to go with them rather than run as an independent because of any particular alignment, or what was it?
Well, one natural alignment was, yun na nga, on my priorities of anti-corruption, women and health. Kasi nakita ko in the first half of President Noy's administration, the stress was on the kung walang korap. And I felt it was time to shift to the second part of the promise, kung walang mahirap. That's why focus pa rin on women, and meron ng isang malaking pinagsamahan, yung RH law, tapos health, na isinusulong na rin ng DOH, Universal Healthcare. Although I oppose their other policy of corporatization of public hospitals or government hospitals. Pero in terms of PhilHealth plus RH and yung avowed commitment nila towards universal healthcare, may ganong alignment. Of course, the second alignment is I remain an ally of President. My party remains in coalition with his party and his administration, and prefiguring yung that future time na develop yung political party system natin. This is the way parties should coalesce or break apart on the basis of common platforms and common principles. Pag hindi na tenable yan, like in any relationship, kahit na between two individuals, pag yung dalawang partido don't see eye to eye na on fundamental issues, then it's time to walk away. And that's normal in more developed democracies. And they can do it without the whole society falling into whatever, ruin or, civil disturbance or whatever.
Is there a line, aligned, kumbaga, pag nag-pass ito na yung line na hindi na kami allies?
Interesting. Pinag-usapan din namin yun sa Akbayan, pero wala kaming sinet na parang breaking point. We discussed that. Basta para sa amin, since periodic yung kumusta sa relationship with the Liberals and with President, periodic within the party, sa mga regular na National Council meetings namin especially, yun yung mechanism namin for validating, or else for saying sometime na untenable na ito. So, para sa amin, we see the reason to stay in coalition with all its imperfections and inadequacies as any human enterprise. Nakikita namin, mas naisusulong pa rin namin yung longer term agenda at this moment within this arrangement rather than outside of it.
Ito kasi one of our tech friends, okay? Kasi sabi niya masyadong seryoso raw yung mga tanong.
Ay, sorry.
Kami?
Kayo?
Sabi namin we have to ask all the serious questions
Oo
first
naman.
for the But then he wants to know what is a typical day for you, not as a politician but as a mother.
Thank you for asking!
Oo.
Yeah, of course.
And then kinahabol pa niya yung pangalawa. Do you have a boyfriend, or if not, do you Rio.
Is this a guy?
Meron na married naman.
Oh, no, okay.
Okay. So I have
Happy
to
for
ask
you.
those questions.
Oh, sige.
Pero the first one, typical day.
Ayun, on a normal day, I wake up at 5 with the kids, then I bring them to school at 6, then pasok na ako sa trabaho. So, usually, ako yung una or isa sa mga unang papasok sa trabaho kasi galing sa paghatid. Tapos ayan, trabaho na maghapon. In my ideal life, I'm home for supper with the kids, pero madalas hindi nangyayari yon. Lalo na ngayong kampanya. Ang balanse na lang, well, yung bunso ko sa akin natutulog, so kahit ngayong kampanya, if possible talaga, I come home just at the end of every campaign day para makatabi niya ako. But I have this belief, I hope it's not an illusion, na kahit tulog siya, she can feel that I'm sleeping beside her. Sa weekends, ang pangarap namin sa buhay ay makapagpasyal, manood ng sine sa sinihan, pumunta sa bookstore. Every other Sunday nagsisimba kami. Every other Sunday namimisa dun sa simbahang pinupuntahan namin. So, ang joke ko with other solo moms is, how do we do this? Take care of the kids and the homework outside, we have our activism. Ang sagot lang dyan ay sleepless. Sleep later, wake up earlier to do everything that's important for us women to do.
And then the other part of the
Okay. I don't have a boyfriend as such. Natatawa ako sa term kasi I haven't used that term since high school, diba? Since teenager. Pero, and I've told my kids, I was happy kasi when I was married. And I think like all or almost all of us, when we get married before the priest or the judge, ang pangarap habang buhay to. It didn't work out that way, but I would like to grow old with someone as I had planned before.
And then, just one quick question. You mentioned kasi kanina you had a 20-year-old
Oo.
son ba?
Oo, son.
So, 3 years ago, hindi pa siya voter.
Oo.
So, he's a first-time voter
Oo,
now. How are
siya.
you kinda like preparing him as to voting for the first time?
I hardly have to prepare kasi isa nga siya sa magkapatid na aware, opinionated, pinag-usapan with his siblings and his friends. At saka, he's a very happy, laid-back guy. So parang hindi siya natetense sa mga ganito. Parang he just flows into things like when he got his driver's license, when he had his first girlfriend.
Okay, just another question from Diallo. It's about the gift that David gave you in Harapan debate.
Yeah.
He gave you a gift?
Yes.
If there was a gift that you would give him, what would it be?
Kay Tito David.
Yeah, Tito David.
Maybe yung libro ni Clarissa Pincola Estes na Women Who Run with the Wolves.
What is it about?
Si Clarissa Pincola Estes kasi, she was born Hungarian pero adopted by a Mexican family. Tapos, she has grown up into a person who combines her training as a clinical psychiatrist with her love for mythology at yung mythology as a device to tell stories and to understand mga deep truths about our being human. Parang ang katumbas niya sa lalaki would be like Joseph Campbell, parang ganun. And ang ganda-ganda ng kanyang libro na Women Who Run with the Wolves. She talks about yung mga archetypal symbols and motivating factors, energies for women since ancient times until now, modern times. And wala lang, parang dahil ang sweet naman ng gesture ni Tito David.
What did he give you again?
He gave me a rosary bracelet and something I'm carrying in my bag, yung novena kay Saint Teresa of Lisieux,
Gave it to you
who
also?
happens to be my patron saint. Kasi Ana Teresia ako baptismally.
The flower?
So, the little flower
Oh
of
my God,
Jesus.
Yeah.
she's also my saint.
Ay, happy!
I've
Many favorites.
encounters.
Ayun.
So why
Favorite
did
ko
he
siya,
give
saka
that-
si
why
Saint
did
Francis.
David give it to
Siguro
you?
parang, sabi ko, hindi naman sa ito sa peace offering, pero sabi niya, kasi naging masakit yung labanan sa RHB, so I just want to give this to you. So sweet naman. Siguro if I had thought of it too, I would give him that. Para mas maintindihan naman niya tayong mga babae, where we're coming from.
Do you have any other questions before we close? Lisa has a meeting to go to.
Really quickly,
Oo.
for a girl who's also as, well, not as busy as you are, how do you keep fit?
Salamat!
What's your beauty secret?
Tawa lang ng tawa, ngiti ng ngiti. Actually, my nickname Risa means laughter in Spanish. Tapos, simpleng health regimen lang. wash makeup off face before sleeping. Try to drink water, lalo na kakatakot yung
Very
morning.
tiring.
Hindi naman. I eat fish and less beef and least pork. Pero pag may okasyon, hindi ko matiis ang lechon. Ganun. Pero everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Fruits, vegetables, try to no vices. Siguro I smoke 1 cigarette a year. At kapag lang krete, yun ang gusto ko kasi mabango.
Oh, really? Like credit?
Sarap, cloves.
Ang amoy yun.
Ang bango! I love it! Yeah.
So how do you deal with
Sorry.
criticisms online? I see a lot of criticisms
Hindi ko
online like that.
ine-engage kasi, yeah, I'm sure naman. Hindi, siguro napapansin nila, hindi ko naman sila inaaway back online.
Yeah.
Inaano ko na lang, binabasa ko, tapos hinuhugot ko yung mga dapat na leksyon. Pero, feeling ko it's hard to quarrel online. Kung magdedebate kami, better siguro face to face. And there's only so much that words can do eh. Lalo na kung convinced na sila against me. Inisip ko na lang, siguro pag matanda na kami, balik tanawin na lang nila yung record of my work thus far. And then, husgahan nila. Madali nga kasi magsalita eh. Hindi lang tuwing kampanya, pero tuwing nagdedebate. So, yun na lang ang timbangin nila. Yung
Doesn't
ginawa
affect
ko at
your
di
beauty.
ginawa.
Ano?
Well, syempre, tao rin ako, naapektuhan ako. Minsan, lalo na pag napaka-vicious or talagang, you won't believe some of the things
Yeah.
I've been called, but
What do you
ganyan
do
talaga
to
eh.
get
Comes
pag
with the
hindi-
territory.
Anong ginagawa pag too vicious na talaga?
Lalong hindi ko
May zone out ka
sinasagot.
na lang.
Kasi,
Yeah.
walang patutunguhan yan eh. So, ano na lang, kung may maranasan kami sa isa't isa na iba later on in life, yun na lang siguro yung may chance na magbago ng pananaw namin sa isa't isa.
Would there ever come a time that you will have a debate with this other left?
Yeah.
Militant left?
Oh.
They
Hindi lang
are
yung
calling
isang
online, ha?
nangahamon ngayon. Kasi
Yes.
kaya ko nga kinol yung hamon ng mga netizens na magdebate kami ni Nancy. Kasi pareho namin kaming tumatakbo sa Senado. And I feel it's our duty as candidates na humarap sa mga debate.
Okay.
So what do you feel about her PRO?
I was so shocked. Tapos nung binasura yung urgent motion to lift the status quo anti-order, I was depressed. But the next morning, get up and just keep fighting.
Yeah. Okay.
Ay, sana.
Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat
There's so many
sa
questions
inyo.
online.
Sa bawat isa.
If you want to answer them, yeah, just take a look at it.
Sige po.